Morning, everybody. If you would, let's take our seats and we'll begin. Looks like we got a busy day today. Before we begin, I ask Chairman Taylor, would you open us up with a word of prayer, please?
Thank you. Please bow your head. Good morning, Father. We thank you for the beautiful day you've given us and the grace you have in our lives every day. We ask you now to give us wisdom and discernment as we do the business for the people of the state of Georgia. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. For everybody, if you would, when you come up, we're going to be brief as we can. Brevity is a virtue. And if you would explain where your bill is on the sheet so everybody can look it up and give us the number right off the bat, and then we'll try to move along as quickly as we can. So, Representative Monahan, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got actually two bills. I'll start with the first, and if you'll indulge me, I'll do the second. It is on the second page, fourth down. That is House Bill 141.
Speak right into the microphone so we can hear
sorry.
you.
It's House Bill 141. House Bill 141 provides a streamlined, secure method for businesses to report their gross receipts to local governments for occupational tax purposes. Instead of requiring businesses to submit sensitive financial records, the bill allows them to provide an affidavit from a certified public accountant.
Okay.
If you indulge me, I have a second, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Go ahead. Don't see any questions on the first one.
Okay. It's on the fourth page, 7 down. That's House Bill 378. House Bill 378 seeks to improve transparency and accessibility within Georgia's state courts by requiring each state clerk to publish and maintain information regarding their court terms on a prominent location on their public website. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Page 4, HB 460.
What was the number?
460.
Okay. Go ahead.
This bill is to prevent the recording of confidential communications between a lawyer and their client who is in a penal institution.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I have House Bill 52. That's going to be the first one on page 5. This was came last year, and it's to provide homestead exemption, clarifying language, providing homestead exemption for the widows of deceased, disabled veterans, unremarried spouses, if they move county to county within Georgia. Just clarifying that transfers with them.
Okay, no questions. Thank you, Representative Rice. Jim Camp, go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you so much. I have my first bill is HR 121. It's on the first page under modified open rule, and this is House Resolution 132. House Resolution 121. I was going to give you someone else's bill. John M. Mixon was a former forestry commissioner, and this is naming the building in Macon in his honor. 121. House Resolution 121. Yeah. It does have the support of the forestry commissioner. I'm sorry, it's on the first page.
Okay.
Under modified open rule, HR 121.
All right. No questions on that. What's your next one?
My next bill is HB 134, which is on page 5 under structured rule. And this bill has to do with manufacturing homes, how manufactured homes in our state are currently taxed. This would bring more parity, so they're they will be taxed more like a stick-built home, which could be essential in our situation with affordable housing and workforce housing. And if you would allow, my last bill is also on page 5. It's House Bill 153.
Okay.
This has to do with manufacturing. We exempt manufacturing in our state to some degree as far as tax. We had clarified a few years ago this includes concrete trucks, because if you stop moving concrete, it's a solid material and it's no longer being manufactured. So all this does is extend the sunset from 2026 to 2031.
Okay, don't see any questions.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much.
Jim Silcox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My first bill is House Bill 444. It is the third bill down on the very first page. And I bring this bill on behalf of the Garden Clubs of Georgia, as well as the Native Plant Society. They would like April declared Native Plant Month in Georgia. The second bill I have is House Bill 242. It is on the third page. It is the sixth bill down. And this deals with the disorderly conduct law. This would add religious service, or religious worship or observance, as well as worship, observance, and funeral to the disorderly conduct law in our state. This bill is really being brought on behalf of some people in my district. This group that has been disrupting religious services, particularly in a synagogue in Cobb County, is the same group that distributed the leaflets on the driveways of so many Dunwoody and Sandy Springs residents.
Okay, no questions.
Thank you.
Chairlady Hagan.
Good morning, everyone. The bill I have this morning is on page 4, about halfway down, House Bill 398. This is a bill that we had in the House last year regarding cottage food licenses, which are administered through the Department of Agriculture currently, and that would remain the case with this bill. We are only dealing with foods that are not potentially hazardous. So that's the only foods that we're dealing with a cottage food license. Currently, sales are allowed directly to a consumer. This bill would open up the market for these entrepreneurs so that they could sell to a third-party vendor, such as a grocery store or a restaurant.
Okay, no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have two. The first one is on page 4. It's second from the bottom. It's H.R. 251. This resolution proposes an amendment to change the Constitution that would ensure all probate judges are elected in nonpartisan elections. It also includes a plan of this change to be approved or rejected by the citizens of Georgia.
Okay, no question. You have another?
Yes, sir. It is also on page 4. It's fifth from the bottom. It is HB 426. This bill proposes a nonpartisan election for all magistrate judges. It also places magistrate and probate judges, should the constitutional amendment be passed in 2026, under the same code section that provides for how and when nonpartisan elections are held.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Deloach. Did you have a good weekend down on the coast?
I did. It was very short, Mr. Chairman.
I know.
But I'm so happy to be a part of this today.
Did you bring us some shrimp?
No, sir. The water's a little cold for that right now.
Okay. What you got?
I got HB 410. It's found in the middle of page 4. It's an insurance department bill, and it is strictly a housekeeping bill. It cleans up some language, and it eliminates some outdated procedures in an effort to make the department operate more efficiently.
Okay. No questions. Thanks, sir. Chairman Jones, you got a couple for us?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee. The first bill is HB 156. It's 8 down on page 2. It would effectively define vertiport in the Georgia state statutes, and a vertiport would affect the eVTOL operations within our entire state.
Okay, don't see any questions.
Okay. My second bill is HB 414, 11 down on page 4. This would effectively create for the Georgia Ethics Commission and all of us who participate in elections an even playing field. What I mean by that, anyone who's doing electioneering outside of our state, for instance, consultants, mail houses, social media consultants, etc., they are not subject to the subpoenas of the Georgia Ethics Commission. This would effectively provide a process so that if the Georgia Ethics Commission needs information from those parties outside the state, I'll say the long arm of the law would be able to reach them and be able to have that conversation with them and get the materials that are necessary. So basically, using a football analogy, if you're going to play in our football game, you're subject to our referees.
Okay. No questions. Thank you. Mr. Chairman.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I bring to you all today House Bill 240. It is on page 3. It's about the fourth one from the top. Basically, this is doing away with trigger leads, which are harmful to consumers, and it's just a protection bill that passed 100% out of banks and banking.
Okay. No questions. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman Werkheiser.
Good morning. On the top of your second sheet, very top, House Bill 123. Georgia is the only state that executes the intellectual disabled, and this law would change that. 123.
123, right. Don't see any questions. Thanks, sir.
you.
Chairman Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Page 2, about halfway down, House Bill 164 removes the 2-year sunset from the truck weight bill that we passed 2 years ago.
Okay, don't see any questions. You have another one?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 424, page 4, about halfway down, has to do with clarifying that a manufacturer cannot be held liable for any warnings that may not be included on a label if that label is approved using the most recent human assessments and approved by the EPA.
Okay, got a question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the author, this is not meant to be a question to dog on any federal administration, Republican, Democrat. It's typical that the EPA's research is or their action on research is behind that of private industry. Is it your intention with this bill that even if a private industry is aware of a problem with a chemical that they've put on the market, that as long as if their science is ahead of the EPA, it's our intention that they just don't have to tell anyone?
Well, I think it's the intent of the bill that based on a 2019 letter from the EPA to the state of California, which passed Proposition 65, and they were the ones who told manufacturers that they needed to include this warning based on the study that the state of California Proposition 65 was utilizing which is the IARC assessment. The EPA considered their assessment and their data set to be more extensive than that used by the one study that was quoted and used for making that determination, and hence the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in California actually threw out the requirement in the constitutional amendment, and basically EPA told me you can't do that.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened in California. I'll look closer at that. But did the committee look at, or do you have any thoughts on what happens if an industry is aware of a problem that hasn't been addressed by the EPA? Is it still the intention of the bill that the industry has no obligation under this proposed legislation? The industry would have no obligation to tell the public.
I think the industry has an obligation if there are studies that do that, and EPA reevaluates these every 15 years and goes through the studies every 15 years to reissue and relicense these products.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leader Hughley, do you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. To the gentleman, I was not fast enough for your first bill on your truck weights.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a permanent removal, or are we extending the subset?
We're removing the sunset altogether, permanent removal.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, ma'am.
Did we work out something with the local governments that were concerned about that the last time?
And there was no one spoke at the hearing. It was simply a removal of the current sunset. It doesn't change anything. It keeps it at the weight of 88,000. But we had no comments from during the transportation meeting issuing any concerns.
Thank you.
Okay. You have a question? Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for bringing the bill, Chairman Meeks. Isn't it true that the ACCG and GMA are neutral on the bill?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mr.
Thank
Chairman, Mr. Whip.
Okay. No more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I bring HB 350, which is on page 4, number 4. It modifies Title 19 of the Georgia Code to allow the placement of newborn safety devices. It allows these to be placed at ambulance services, police stations, fire stations, and medical facilities. There's a chain of command in the bill with newborn from the device to the first responder to the hospital to human services. It also has a dual alarm system to make sure the baby's safe.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thanks,
Thank you.
sir. Representative Townsend.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's HB 233, first page, second one down, under modified open rule. Basically makes Brunswick stew the official state stew of Georgia. It has historical and economical significance as well, and great support from the coastal delegation too.
Okay. No questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is HB 154. It's on page 2, number 7 down. This will make EMS be classified as an essential service. This is law enforcement, fire enforcement is are essential services, and this would just classify that the same way. What it would do is in disasters or pandemics, they would be able to recover funds from federal government CARES Act, something like that. And this does not affect any of the present zoning for any of the ambulance. This would be public and private also.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Cannon. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have House Bill 169, the very last bill on page 5, or the very last bill on the sheet. 169 removes the solar exemption from the CUVA and FLIPA statute, and it emphasizes the preservation of Georgia's ag and timberland. We accept an amendment during the committee process from Rep. Buckner to delay implementation by 1 additional year, which would allow a little more time for this to take effect. I do think it's a fair compromise and ultimately achieves the intent of the bill, which is to maintain the integrity of the CUVA and FLIPA statute. Subject to any questions.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thanks,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Leader Wade.
Good morning, Chairman, colleagues, and committee members. I'm here to request consideration on House Bill 423, which is requested from GEMA. This would allow us to update and upgrade and modernize 911 to the next generation standard of 911 services to make interoperability, redundancy solutions, and effectiveness better for the citizens of Georgia.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Rob, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the committee. I'm House Bill 172, page 2, 6 up from the bottom. This is the veterinary tuition assistance program that I carried last year out of the House and made it through Senate rules. This basically programs an existing program. It's carrying it from a 1-year to a 3-year. It's going from $20,000 per year per applicant to 30. And basically there's other requirements within the counties as served and application process.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Representative Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request this morning HB 150. It's on page 2, 6 down from the top. It is the HB 150 is combating threats from foreign countries of concern Act of 2025 for higher education. What the HB 150 does, it promotes transparency in foreign funding to our higher ed institutions in the state through the university system. to report quarterly to the General Assembly, the governor, of any funding received from foreign countries of concern other than simple tuition payments for an individual.
Okay, no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I bring in House Bill 253. It's on page 3, 10 from the top. It's in a modified, structured. And it's just simply, it's called Ethan's Law, and it just ends the reunification camps. It's something that happens, kids are being sent out of state during these custody battles. And the stories, even in committee, that we heard are just horrific. It's just ending that, of them being sent out of state. And I just want to thank Madam Chair Ballinger for helping me work on this bill, make it a great bill. I'll take any questions, if there are any.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
sir. Representative Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My bill is House Bill 158. It's on the second page, about halfway down there. And what this bill does is just try to be a little bit more efficient in our government, maybe perhaps even a little more transparency. Currently, when you search a trade name in the state, you have to go to all 159 counties to search for it. This just allows one central body to be able to collect that data. It's Georgia Superior Court's Clerk's Cooperative Authority will have that. Nothing changes in the process except for it just shifts over there, so it's a one-stop place to look for it. I'll take any questions if need be.
Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Rules Committee. I have two bills on the bottom half of page 3. The first bill is House Bill 315. This is the Law Enforcement Partners Act. This came late last year and was a 5-page bill. Having more time, we made it shorter. It's a 2-page bill now. It's supported by the Georgia Sheriff's Association. It provides a jurisdictional basis when our state and local law enforcement call in the feds for a joint task force for a disaster such as the one we saw in New Orleans January the 1st. And again, it's supported by the Georgia Sheriff's Association.
Okay, don't see any questions on that. What's your other one?
Thank you. Second bill is House Bill 318. This is the Efficient Zonings Act. This bill is the product of a blue ribbon zoning panel of government and applicants' lawyers. The first thing it does is it allows permits which are not defined as zoning decisions. It clarifies that they can be heard without going through the zoning process. Secondly, it provides clarity on how to appeal a zoning decision. There's currently some confusion in the law. ACCG and GMA support it, as do applicant zoning attorneys such as former Representative Andy Welch.
Okay, have a question for you. Leader Hughley?
Yes, I'm sorry I missed your first bill again, but on that first bill, are we saying that federal law enforcement officers are going to have local arrest powers? Is that what we're promoting?
No, Leader. What it would do is when the state and local law enforcement requests the federal authorities to become involved, such as in a task force or disaster management, this gives a jurisdictional basis. Currently, right now, Georgia and Nebraska are the only two states without a statutory jurisdictional basis. It was inadvertently repealed several years ago. This would replace a jurisdictional basis, so we would get back to the law that we had for decades or centuries.
Okay.
Right now, we're an outlier along with Nebraska, and this would fix that.
Okay. Chairman Martin, do you have a question? You pass? Okay. No other questions. Thank you. Hey, Brad. Come on up, Brett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to present House Bill 171, page 2, about 2/3 on the way down. House Bill 171 aims to address the distribution of AI-generated obscene material depicting children and enhance sentencing for other crimes. And designated offenses would include stalking, exploitation of vulnerable individuals, enticing a child for indecent purposes, and fraudulent election interference. And that's what the bill does.
Okay, don't see any questions.
All right,
sir.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. If you turn with me to the top of page 4, House Bill 329 is a pro-family bill. A lot of families, we'll talk about IVF, but prior to families going to IVF, they first pursue artificial insemination. This bill allows nurses to administer artificial insemination under the supervision of a physician delegated by him, and then also who is physically present in the facility. This bill is supported by all the alphabet soup of medical agencies.
Okay, don't see any questions.
Thank
you. Chairman Smith.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. If you'll look on page 2, fourth from the bottom, I bring to you House Bill 176. This is a bill we passed out of the House last year. It's untangling our mess that we have currently with direct appeal of a conviction when some charges have been dead docketed. Also would make direct appeal of a guilty plea subject to judicial discretion. Also allowing more time for the prosecutors to respond to an amended motion for a new trial, and would reinstate meaningful access to request post-conviction review from the court, and gives a finite timing of allowing a motion to withdraw a guilty plea to be within the term of court or 30 days, whichever occurs last. That's the synopsis of the bill, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Mr.
Chairman
Chairman.
Carpenter.
Good morning, folks. Number one on your page, number one in your heart, House Bill 14, making cornbread the state bread. It's on a reunion tour, got held up in the Senate like many of these other fine bills you've been presented today, and I appreciate your support.
Got a question for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, would this be crackling, sweet, or?
We left it open-ending. It could be however you like your cornbread.
Thank you for bringing the bill.
It's supposed to bring us together, not separate us.
Pro Tem has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How did you determine it should be cornbread and not biscuits?
Just a man that eats a lot of clearly eats a lot of country cooking. Cornbread's a whole lot better than biscuits. You can eat cornbread all day long.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Representative Kelly. Yes, sir.
I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
But I bring before you today House Bill 320 at the bottom of the third page. What it does is it says at the end of a life cycle for a solar panel, instead of taking them to one of our local landfills and creating a burden for them, that you'll take them to a solar panel recycling facility. These are for your large-scale solar projects.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ask for favorable consideration.
Representative Buckner.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On page 3, right about where the hole punch is for the middle, it's House Bill 254. This is a bill where the America 250 Commission, which is a commission that is making plans for our 250th birthday of America, which is in 2026, have bronze markers that they would like to place on the Capitol grounds and one at the state archives. There's no expense to the state. It's just we need to go through the process of getting permission from the General Assembly and then the Capitol Arts Commission for placement. So I would appreciate your, it's just recognizing that we're one of the 13 colonies and that we were involved in establishing a new country.
Okay. No questions. Thank you. Chairman Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Page 3, the fifth one down, House Bill 241. This bill is a result of many different groups getting together and finally agreeing on something. And all this bill does is clarify in code our earned wage access language, and it allows up to a $5 fee.
Okay. No questions. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Representative Gaines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 3, about halfway down, House Bill 295. This just allows property owners and local governments not enforcing the law to receive compensation for diminished value of their property or incurred expenses due to the failure of their local government.
Okay, don't see any questions. Thanks,
Thank
sir.
you.
Senator Zolzal.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring before you Senate Resolution 7, first page, halfway down. This is a road naming bill that encapsulates a number of road namings that did not get across the finish line actually in the Senate last year. GDOT and the governor's office were kind enough to put the signs up provisionally, and this just codifies what we all thought were our road namings for last year into this year's law.
Okay, no questions. Thank you, sir. Okay, how about members of the committee? Okay, well, let's start right here at the head table. Vice Secretary, what you got? Mandy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring before the committee House Bill 435, Crimes and Offenses, Sexual Exploitation of Children. Basically, we carve out certain people who may or may not have to deal with some obscene material during the course of their employment, prosecutors, law enforcement officers, that sort of thing. Unfortunately, DFACS caseworkers were left off that list. So this just enables those members, those employees of the Division of Family and Children's Services during the course of their official duties can handle these materials without the threat of criminal prosecution.
Okay, if you have a question, raise your hand. We've got a lot of lights on the board here. No questions. Thank you. Chairlady Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring to you today, again, House Bill 208. It's the license plate bill that we already passed in this committee, but along the way, it got sent back to motor vehicles and picked up 2 more passengers, of which I think we will agree. One is the Shepherd Center, and the other one is Georgia Veterans and Family. It's 208. It's on your yellow sheet.
It's on your yellow sheet.
So it's the second journey, but we're still in the House.
Bill 208 Smith. Is that all?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
No questions. Okay. Representative Williamson, you have one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, on page 4, third from the top, House Bill 348. Bring it to you today for your consideration. It is an insurance department bill. Currently, Georgia law allows adequately capitalized businesses to form their own captive insurance companies, and this bill simply modernizes the language and allows more types of exposures to be covered under their risk management plan. And examples would be as simple as employee life insurance to cover the covered lives of the business, or newer coverages that are not currently allowed to be covered by captive insurance companies, such as cybersecurity. So this bill would better modernize the ability for Georgia businesses to self-insure more of their risks. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions? Don't see any questions. Thanks, sir. Let's see. Chairman Hawkins, is that you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the bottom page of 3, HB 322, the caption's not correct on this. It does not include dental hygienist license or their schools. What it does do is it addresses the present shortage we have of clinical professors at MCG. This bill calls for the ability for the dean to recommend a foreign trained faculty, and then that person would be evaluated by the Board of Dentistry and then possibly issued a license. We do need this now. We are about 80% of our clinical staff before we build a new dental school.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you. Chairman Martin.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, House Bill 392 is on page 4, 8th down. This is, if the committee will remember, we passed a constitutional amendment. The voters passed it in November, and the underlying statute to move the tax tribunal from the administrative branch to the judicial branch, basically create a court rather than tax tribunal. This is cleanup language that focuses on the transferring of open cases and change some dates to more properly allow that judge to get in place.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Thank you, sir. Dr. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 5, House Bill 79, House Bill 79 is a voluntary program to allow a tax credit to be used by citizens to obtain safe firearm handling or a secure storage device up to $300 per taxpayer. This did pass last year in the House 162-3. It's an effort to encourage safe storage so we can decrease on stolen firearms, suicides, accidental. It's voluntary and it specifies no list.
Don't see any questions. You have another one?
I do have a second one, yes, sir. Just down from that, also on page 5 under structured rule, House Bill 136 is a tax credit program for individuals and businesses to make a donation for aging out care for former foster children. Once they reach 18, they don't have the supports that many families give their children, so this allows a organization to establish a program to help them with tuition, applying and getting in college, tuition, nutrition, transportation, and an important part is mentoring. Key part of the bill is also that a minimum of 90% of the money, no more than 10% overhead, 90% of this money needs to go to the direct benefit and use of the former foster child. So we look forward to that passing again. We heard it last year as well.
Okay, don't see any questions. Vice Chairman, you got a couple?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two bills. They're both on page 4. The first one's the very top of page 4, House Bill 327. That is a bill that passed out of judiciary. It's been brought at the request of the fiduciary law section of the State Bar of Georgia. That's things like probate, wills, trusts. It's basically clean up conforming changes to try to make the fiduciary code consistent with some other provisions in banking and domestic law, and also then clean up some other provisions within the probate and trust code itself.
Okay, don't see any questions on that one.
The next one is just down from that, Mr. Chairman. It's House Bill 377. This has to do with manufactured homes. There's currently a process by which you can surrender the certificate of title on a manufactured home, and this tries to simplify that process and also protect the rights of a lien holder or lender. It's basically intended to try to encourage greater provision of credit in that market. It's really high voltage, exciting stuff.
Question? No question, okay. Well, we got a question here. Al Williams.
To the author, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for clarification, this is designed primarily for the lender, not the owner.
Well, yes, but it also would be of benefit to the owner, and the idea is it would encourage more lenders to loan in this market. Right now, it's very difficult to get a loan if you wish to buy a manufactured home.
One follow-up.
Certainly.
I thank you for the information because I'm a little puzzled because that's one of the easiest loans to get in housing. It's manufactured housing. When you can't buy a stick built, you can go down to the corner and get you a trailer.
That may be the case in Liberty County. I have to defer to the gentleman on that, but up in Elbert County, it's still rather difficult to obtain loans because lenders don't like lending in that space because the process of surrendering a title is rather involved, and there's a question as to whether their liens are protected if the title is surrendered because it converts the property from personal to real property. This would expressly protect their lien position and thus hopefully make them more comfortable at making loans when the mobile home is still certificated and is deemed to be personal property.
You're welcome to come to the coast because we don't have that problem.
I'll be down there this morning to buy my mobile home.
Right.
Okay.
Representative.
Is that all? You got a question? Chairman Martin, do you have a question?
Just to echo in at the gentleman, if I would say, we had Chairman Camp's bill earlier about trying to bring parity between stick-built homes. It in fact requires that to be converted to a title to get the maximum benefit of that tax. So this goes hand in glove, isn't it true, with the gentleman's proposal here? If it's easier to surrender the title, it's easier for them to get the tax benefit and accomplish what Chairman Camp was also trying to do.
I believe that would be correct. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. Anybody? Is that everybody on the committee? Got them all? Okay. Okay. Yeah. Before we set a calendar, I've got some housekeeping we want to do here. I'd like to hear a motion that House Bill 249 be recommitted back to the Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications.
So moved.
Have a move and a second. Is there any opposition? Got that? Representative Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to have House Bill 420 be recommitted back to the insurance.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, that 420 go back to insurance. Is there any opposition? It's back. Also, House Bill 296, recommit that back to motor vehicles.
So moved.
Have a move and a second. Any opposition? All right, those three are back. All right, now we have a calendar for today. We have 6 bills that are on there. We're going to set a supplemental calendar for today. Under modified open, Senate Resolution 7.
Move.
Have a move and a second. Any opposition? It's on. Under modified structure, House Bill 34.
Move.
Move and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. House Bill 164.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. Under structured, House Bill 136.
Move.
Move and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. Under structured, House Bill 153.
Move.
Moved and seconded. Any opposition? It's on. Okay. That will be our supplemental calendar for today. Senate Resolution 7, House Bill 34, House Bill 164, House Bill 136, House Bill 153. Any other business? We're adjourned and we will see you. And tomorrow now is a committee day, but we'll have rules in the morning at 9 o'clock. Okay.